Grog.
What am I going to say? Right. Hey everyone, and welcome. Hey, hey everyone, and welcome. Oh, stop it, you
Sorry,
two.
I laughed. That was me. I'm sorry.
I'm on mute.
Oh God, I never
Oh,
use it.
okay.
Sorry, I'll shut up.
No. Well, no, the opposite, Kerry. We want you to talk, right? And well, could that be the intro? I mean,
Yeah, why not?
okay, yeah. So it's me, Peter Fickling. You could hear Kerry and Matthew being supportive as always, goading me, chuckling in my face, belittling my vague attempts to be professional. Yeah, so Hazel, this week it's been amazing. I've been quite the curmudgeon about the arts over the last couple of months, and Matthew and Kerry have been less polite off mic and sort of chiding me slightly on mic. But this was exactly what I needed and wanted. A week of Hazel being a nightmare, irritating all the people I wanted her to. It was great.
Yeah, she is striding round this village, just evicting everyone she can and pissing everyone else off. It's insanely intense and magnificent, isn't it?
If you get a call from Hazel saying, "Can she drop by?" It's the dreaded vote of confidence from the chairman. If you're the manager of a football club, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I did tweet, like, if any of you out there see her coming towards your home, hide. Yeah.
And the acting, the voice as well. When she
Yeah.
does a little trembly voice, and she's like, "And I've been so weak, which makes me taking your livelihood away all the better." I mean, she does. It's this kind of. It's the viciousness with which she delivers all these horrible messages.
Yeah, I think she's being written and acted perfectly. It's so horrific that it's brilliant, isn't it? Because she keeps gaslighting, really, because she keeps like dropping compliments, which are faux compliments, then just sticking the knife in whatever way, and then just disappearing before they. There've been so many times where she says things, and then people are left going, and she's just vanished already. It's
Yeah,
brilliant.
calling Pat and Tony and saying, "I seem to have caused a bit of an upset."
Yeah, I mean, they must be having such a whale of a time writing this person. I loved it at the end of where she'd evicted Tom and Natasha, and the parting line, I think it was on Monday, was, "I'm very sorry. Do you have a bit of hot water? This tea has gone cold."
Right in your face.
Oh, drop the mic. Awful. Yeah, absolutely excellent.
I finished the week feeling obviously very sympathetic for Natasha because, I mean, even though she's a bit awkward sometimes, the pregnancy was the final blow, but I did sort of feel
Mm.
like she'd had a pretty rough time. But I didn't feel anything but annoyance towards Tom. He's such an
Ah,
entitled little prick. That did make it a lot easier that most of the victims of Hazel's awfulness
mm.
were kind of, there was some karmic payback going in their direction.
I don't know. There was Fallon brought up her having been evicted before. There was the Grundys having been evicted before. Then Tom and Natasha now are being evicted. I mean, who hasn't she evicted? And you're right about Tom. He was awful this week because there were two things that stood out where Tony was banging on about Johnny's taken this marvelous photograph of the Monties. You must see it. It's so perfect. And Tom was just going, it's all right. And then when Natasha was trying to reveal that she was pregnant, obviously she said, "I've got something very important to tell you." I can't do that.
Is she from
Go on, tell me.
Bangladesh?
Yes, she is. She is via Cardiff or something.
Oh, give it another
Um,
go, Kerry. Come on.
no, I can't. It has to come. If someone tells me to do anything, I can't do it. So,
Okay.
um, but yeah, she was wanting to say, wasn't she? I've got something important to tell you. And then instead, he took a call from his mother. And so she went and had a lie down with a headache, and straight away Twitter was going, "Pregnant, pregnant, pregnant."
Yes.
Yeah, the clues were there. It's either that or having to drink orange juice at a social occasion, isn't it? People in soaps.
Well, that happened a couple of Christmases ago with my friends. We all met up for Christmas
Oh.
in the good old days, and one of the group, the girl, didn't drink, and we were like, "Okay." She was like, "Oh, I just don't really not in the mood for beer." And then we all went and sat down by the canal, and someone had brought a bottle of champagne, which they popped, and she wouldn't drink that either. And There was about 2 or 3 days later, the husband created a WhatsApp group, and before he could even say anything, someone else wrote, "I bloody knew it," before he could even say what the group was about, anything.
Oh,
But
yeah.
Natasha does seem to have a cross between false memory and Stockholm syndrome, because didn't she absolutely hate the flat at first, like it was a pokey
Yeah.
little shithole? And then she said, I mean, it was rather economical with the truth when she said to Hazel, "Well, I was a bit skeptical at first of Ambridge. She got in a car and buggered off to Llandudno like 3 weeks after they got married and didn't
Mm.
appear again." So it was a bit more than skeptical.
Yeah, but Matthew now, she's all about the 3-bedroom house with a massive garden in Felpersham or wherever it was.
Yeah, or
No,
that,
Penny
or
Hassett, Penny Hassett.
yeah,
Yeah.
no, or that rough estate in Darrington where she's
Yeah,
going to
oh,
become the new kingpin.
you don't wanna live there, love. There's, like, fridges in gardens and cars on bricks and things, basically, wasn't there? Yeah, but didn't you think if they've been trying for ages, would you not immediately, the point at which you've done the test, knowing you're pregnant, say that to the person you've been trying for ages with?
She does strike me as one of those kind of baby reveal type people that she would want it to be an
Oh.
Instagrammable moment. Oh look, Tom, there's pink balloons. It's a baby girl.
What, before even saying she's pregnant?
I don't. Well, no, or she'll want to capture Tom's reaction, or you know what I'm trying to say. There needs to be a bit of drama to everything. It can't just be kind of like, oh, by the way.
Yeah. Do you think, really? I think if you've been trying ages, well, I just know the 2 times I fell pregnant, I just told everyone within earshot immediately. I didn't wait the 3 months, or I was not in any way strategic. I just
I've
went,
always kept it under the rug, to be honest.
have you?
Yeah, it's time to move countries, and on he
Come
goes.
on, guys. It's only 5 times I've changed countries, 3 continents.
I thought that was all them robberies you've done.
Oh, yeah. That's back on my Darrington days. But I like the bit where Fallon said, she was like, "I'm pregnant." And Fallon went, "What?" Here come the pregnancy police.
Oh! Is that what Fallon's reaction was? I
She
can't
went,
remember.
"What?" And then she went, "I'm going to have a baby." It was like an airplane moment.
Oh, God, there are so many of those in this bloody programme.
It was like, I felt like she was going to say, "What? You actually have sex with that?"
Anyone going to bother with the Tom sausage joke? No. Okay.
Oh, do it, Peter. Oh, you have already.
Yeah.
Yes. I did think that maybe his suggestion for the gift to their Bridge Farm customers at Christmas would just be to throw another sausage in the basket. It doesn't seem to
Oh,
be.
yeah.
Instead, Tony wants to go down to the posh chocolate shop by the cathedral in Felpersham, doesn't he, and send
Yeah.
them all a mini Christmas pudding, which I'm sure that if you've ever seen a mini Christmas pudding, you can cup it in your hand, eat it in one go when you come in from the pub. I don't think it's going to be they're going to be that delighted with that.
When you said cup it in one hand, I thought of balls then. Is that bad?
It's the protecting, isn't it? Cupping is when that protective motion that quite often Peter might find himself cupping sometimes when Cyrus starts being a jumper.
Oh.
Sorry, I'm completely lost.
Aren't you ever on the sofa and Cyrus launches himself at you and you instinctively find yourself
Cupping your own nadgers.
cupping your little Peter?
Oh, what, to protect protect incoming? Do you know what? He's only caught me in the knackers a few times.
Keep trying, Cyrus.
They've done their job. They're fine.
I'll bear that in mind for when we meet.
Oh, yeah. Is that a license to kick him in the nadgers?
It'll be like Bottom-esque. I'll just walk in like Rick Mail and Aid Edmondson, just launch one into his knackers.
I think any sane person would listen to that conversation and agree that I have just invited anyone who wants to take a free swing at my testicles. That's exactly
Brilliant.
right. Yeah.
We've got to track you down first.
Yeah, we are planning a listener get together at some point. We'll just put Peter in the stocks.
Mm.
Earlier on, you sort of said slightly wistfully, kind of, was it? In the good old days. But it was kind of like, this is where we're getting to now. It's like in before times, we all sit around the campfire and tell our children about times before, COVID restrictions and masks. I was talking to Cyrus about that the other day. I was trying to explain why I was wearing a mask because I just suddenly realised he didn't really have any clue. But yeah, I mean, obviously, a listener get together would be fantastic, but it just seems
Oh
so
God, yeah.
distant and impossible, doesn't it?
We definitely need to do that. Before that, you two need to meet. I was going to say you two need to meet me. I don't mean that. That sounds awfully big-headed, but I mean us three need to meet.
I was watching a piece of dog shit movie this morning, in between doing chores around the house. What's it called? Redshift or something on Netflix. Don't worry, it's Dwayne the Rock Johnson, Ryan Reynolds. I suddenly
Jesus.
thought that it's really bad. I'm not going to finish it. I suddenly thought that Matthew looks a bit like Ryan Reynolds.
What? Robert Smith, Ryan Reynolds.
No, but I suddenly realised that Matthew might be quite handsome, and I hadn't really considered it. It was only when I saw the kind of similarity. Quite kissable lips was what I was taking
Oh.
from it. So sort of angel's lips. But anyway,
Kerry?
He's very good looking. Yeah, I don't know why you've never noticed this before.
By the way,
To be honest.
you've completely ballsed me up, Kerry, because The Cure announced their European tour for 2022, and they're not coming to Portugal, and I blame you for that.
Oh, so,
yeah,
yeah.
we've got Portugal covered already. They said, they're already having
Yeah.
the experience daily. They don't need
I'm now looking at a picture of Ryan Reynolds and Matthew barely resembles.
I
I
don't
would
see
say
it.
no,
I don't see it.
not really.
Is
But
Ryan Reynolds the guy that's just been involved in the takeover of that? Is it Wrexham?
Yes,
no.
yes,
Oh, is he? Oh, with
yeah,
the guy from Always Sunny.
exactly, yeah,
Yes.
Oh, well, he's got to be a good bloke
yeah.
if
I
he's
think he is. I think
involved with
he's
the
especially
Always Sunny person.
No, I look
Okay.
nothing like Ryan Reynolds.
Not really, no. But anyway, Tom and his Christmas puddings being put in the Christmas what's-its. I loved that was another thing, another revealing thing about him, wasn't it? That it had not occurred to him at all to put a little token of loveliness into the boxes at Christmas. And Tony had to tell him maybe to do that.
He's an incredibly selfish man.
Oh, God. Will Natasha ever sort of wise up and think, what the bloody hell am I doing with this idiot?
Because that's been the kind of character arc, wasn't it? When Natasha first got together with Tom, it was like you had this very attractive. That was before we'd even sort of seen her. It was kind of lots of comments on how glamorous she was and how successful she was and all this sort of stuff. And then she came along and she was quite a sort of a pleasant antidote to the kind of pompous amateurism of Bridge Farm. She, even if she wasn't your cup of tea, she was a nice contrast.
A bit of energy about her, at least. They're all just drudge people, aren't they? There were good shoe noises when she stomped into the village shop, weren't there? Did you hear those?
There was
Clippy
some
clop.
clacking heels, weren't there?
Yeah, you could just imagine. I mean, yeah, she did go off on one without any evidence, which was a bit of a worry, but maybe, that was because she's hormonal and pregnant and stuff, which we found out later.
They were leaving all those little Easter eggs for us, weren't they?
They were, yeah. But Tom was horrible this week.
And he had stiff competition, right? Because we started off with this is Hazel's week, so to stand out for being horrible this week, you really had to go some.
I thought Eddie was horrible before we really go on to Hazel as well. Like poor Clary, they were talking about it was Kirsty and Susan were talking about the fact that, does Clary always have a week off before Christmas? And it's like, yeah, she does. However, that week off involves plucking loads of turkeys, making edible decorations, baking mince pies for Eddie to flog and stuff. I was like, Jesus, poor Clary. And then Eddie later said to Ed, when Ed was like, oh, she's, like she's in some sort of, I don't know, bloody back room, plucking loads.
Workhouse or something, isn't it?
Sort of going, and then Eddie said, I bet she's moaning like she usually does. I absolutely detest him at the moment, Eddie.
Yeah, he was saying, no, I'll be all right. She'll put the radio on and she'll happily pluck away.
This is her week off work. What does Eddie actually do day in, day out, week in, week out to earn any money? I hate him. Please change my mind if you can.
Well, the first thing I want to say about that scene, the two turkey-based scenes, are we considering legal action for them stealing our turkey noises, Kerry, that me and you made?
I don't think I would have a leg to stand on. No, they do not resemble my dreadful attempt.
Okay, I thought they weren't far off ours, to be honest. But yeah, you're right. I mean, it seems to be it's like a life of drudgery for Clary, isn't it?
Mm.
And Susan was there saying, "I'd put my foot down." I was like, "What, on the turkey? Does that help the plucking process or something?" But it's yeah, I did enjoy him stitching Hazel up. That was funny. But other than that, he's he seems to be quite chauvinistic all of a sudden, or am I just is that are they doing that, or has he always been like that?
Yeah, has it really ramped up or what? I just also Clary should say no, which is another angle.
Yeah, I'm surprised Mia doesn't have something to say about all this as well.
Yeah, Peter, what did you think about all of that? Do you think Clary is unnecessarily downtrodden?
I mean, obviously, there's a weird gender divide between sort of jobs on the farm, and kind of, is it any particular generation's turn to sort of like completely tidy all that up and suddenly go, actually, no, you have to do a root and branch reassessment of, who does what and based on what aptitudes and all this sort of stuff. What does Eddie do? I mean, yes, he goes off down to the market, but all of these jobs for Eddie basically are mainly standing around trying to smooth talk his way out of actually doing any real work.
Yeah, he gathers mistletoe and holly to sell. That's not very hard, is it?
Yeah.
And I just think, like, they said that Clary hates doing this turkey plucking job. It sounds like I'm swearing there. This fucking turkey plucking job. But get someone else in to do that for her. Why does she have to have the week off work to do this thing? That get someone else in to just do the plucking.
Well, you brought up one of you brought up Susan. So Susan is Horrobin. So they're the other main working class family in the village. And Susan is often derided for being aspirational, kind of like, there's a sort of underlying snobbery about her desire for Neil to be a manager. Oh, manager, Neil's a manager. I want to be a manager now. All this sort of stuff. And it's like, actually, true socialism is about aspiring for everyone to be lifted up, for everyone to have a better life and to be more comfortable. And I think we've touched on it before. It's just we're a bit tired of seeing the Grundys being downtrodden, and within a subset of the Grundys is the women of the Grundys. Emma and Clary are constantly having to bail their useless husbands and partners out, and sort of do all the thinking.
Yeah, I do think that they are oppressed and that the oppressors laugh about it. I think that's it in essence, and I don't like it.
But do you think I've got a point that there's
Yeah.
there's levels to it? Like
Oh yeah.
It's not just they're not just Grundys. They're also the most oppressed of the oppressed. Like, yeah, and even sorry to make the same point again, but when you contrast it with then the ones who are aspirational, like Natasha's a bit of a move in the shade. But basically, anyone who aspires to climbing in the Archers is mocked.
Yeah.
Clary's aspirations, to your point, Kerry, is just to not have to pluck some turkeys on her holiday.
I know. It's sad, isn't it? I just think more and more I'm feeling very depressed about her position and her stupid husband.
You don't think it's a bit like that between Brian and Jenny, though? Brian is, I mean, at the other end of the class scale, Brian is very much like, he does all the business and he's in charge of things. And Jenny, just if you're a bit upset, just go and bake a cake. I feel it even happens at that level as well.
Yeah, I mean, abuse is abuse. Whether it's Boris Johnson's dad famously broke his wife's nose, and I'm sure at the moment that was happening, she wasn't sort of going, well, at least I'm rich, So I think it's you can't sort of, Jenny, you're right to call out the that the sexism runs throughout the village, Matthew. But
while we're discussing Tory scum.
I knew I was being risking it, Kerry.
Hazel does remind me of a female Jacob Rees-Mogg in her
Yes,
delivery
yes.
and her complete sociopathic tone. I'm concerned after the event, and this is just going to be awful. But if you don't mind, I'm just about to do one other awful thing.
To me, I think I might have mentioned this last week. If I didn't, I've been tweeting a lot about it. She's just Margaret Thatcher in my mind. She looks like Margaret Thatcher. She sounds like Margaret Thatcher. She's literally her to me. But yeah, I do get the Jacob Rees-Mogg thing.
When they offered, Eddie offered her the chance to, the honour of killing her own turkey. He said you could use the electric stunner. I was like, I didn't know Fallon was involved in this process.
The electric stunner. Very
I
good.
thought you must have been, like a pig in muck this week with all the Fallon stuff, but I do appreciate. I mean, I do appreciate the Jacob Rees-Mogg comparison, because that really does help me that sort of does add sort of colour to my total disgust for her. But the thing is, I do have a sneaky affection for Hazel, and I will never have any affection of even the sneakiest variety.
Yeah, but there's no affection for her as a person, is there? There's an affection for her being in this dull soap opera. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, no, absolutely. But to take another Tory grandee, like Alan Clark was an absolute shitbag, but it was hard to dislike him. Like, even though when you knew that some of the stuff he'd done was truly appalling, he was still kind of like, peculiarly likable. Jacob Rees-Mogg, not so. I mean, Hazel. I mean, I know what you mean though. In real life, I wouldn't be able to be anywhere near Hazel without wanting to, destroy her.
The Alan Clark diaries are an amazing read.
Have you read them?
Yeah, I've read them, and then I went to a reading he did of them and met him and got him to sign my copy.
Is he? Can you? I mean, obviously, you've got a very advertised peculiar taste in men, Kerry. But did he? Could you see what women in general found so attractive about him?
No, I don't know. Ooh, I'm having to think about that. That's a worry, isn't it?
Because obviously, very famously, he was quite the philanderer.
Yeah, of course. But there's something about, when people are openly like that, they're just boldly doing it rather than secretly doing it. The duplicity is what I don't like. He was, openly like that.
Yeah.
I think, from memory. I mean, I've read the diaries a bit ago, and he just didn't make any qualms about what he was like. I think that's my memory of him anyway.
He basically used to take his girlfriend on holiday with his wife, didn't he? He used to take Christina with them on holiday, and she would just be housed in the little like granny flat at the side
I don't
of the
know
villa.
about that.
Yeah.
I mean, if they're all right with that, who knows?
Was it Anna Ford poured a glass of wine over his head at a function?
Oh, probably.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think he was a bit of a wrong 'un, but he did it with a.
Yeah. His diaries are a good read, though.
That'll be on the cover of when they republish his diaries. That'll be a bit of a wrong 'un, Peter Fickling, the Cider Shed podcast.
I would love my life to take such a turn that I'm cover fodder.
That's up there with my my mum's slight understatement when they found the eighth body in Cromwell Street, saying, "He's a bit of a bugger, isn't he?"
She's not wrong, though. Let's be fair to mum. There's no disputing that. So Hazel, Jacob Rees-Mogg, awful. Eddie, torturing her in the turkey barn. I didn't get as much pleasure from that as Eddie did, and it sounds like you did. I
didn't. I did not.
You didn't. I
No.
thought I don't find. I have a very low tolerance for bullying. In fiction as well, obviously. And I just I couldn't deal with it. Like, let's put it this way: I can't watch The British Office. It's too much for me.
Oh, it wasn't to do with the bullying thing. It just didn't hit my radar as being comical in any way.
Right.
I didn't think it was meant to be comical. Yeah. I thought it was meant to be a soft version of, those movies where they finally get their own back on the bad person and they're unwittingly in a room of people that they've wronged.
Yeah.
And they're suddenly like, do you remember me? I'm this person. And then this happened. And then they're like, why is there a list? It's like Cask of Amontillado by Poe, isn't it? You're suddenly like, why is this happening? But it was just in muddy turkey form.
Yeah, that's true. I firstly thought she would never have gone to the turkey place to get the turkey. You. Secondly, I thought if she had been recommended the turkey place, she would certainly have known it was the Grundy's turkey place, which made the fact that when she went, "Oh, I slightly recognise you," and he went, "Yeah, I'm Eddie Grundy." She would have known it was the Grundy's place. She would have, remembered all of that. I didn't find it funny that he sort of went, "Come and choose it and kill it, and you can pluck it if you like as well," as an added measure. I don't know. I just thought I'm a bit crap at this because the moment I thought she would never have gone there, I'd lost all credibility in the whole thing. I might be a bit autistic. I don't know.
We need to be put in some kind of blender. Well, a good one that we can all borrow each other's virtues and shed some of our restrictions.
Yeah.
Purely when it comes to the Archers, I don't want to become someone kind of homogenous cider shed mess. But yeah, I think you and I suffer from the exact opposite problem, Kerry. I don't pay enough attention, and you pay too much attention.
I do. Yeah. I just thought she would have just like rung and went, "Send a turkey to the Bridge
Yes.
farm. Here's £100."
There would have been a whole episode missing then.
Good. Put another one in there that's actually reasonable. I'm sorry. Yeah.
No, it's okay. I mean, in terms of you saying she didn't recognise them, she was last there during the flood,
She
right?
evicted them.
And the flood was 2015.
Yeah.
So she's obviously going to remember them, isn't she?
Exactly. There are 3 people she's evicted. She didn't recognise Fallon as someone she had evicted either.
No. I mean, she can't move for her evictees, can she?
Yeah.
But it does also point to the just how limited Ambridge is as a space to base the soap opera like this. There's no, they've expanded the on mic cast quite a lot recently, haven't they? Like it's a lot bigger than it used to be in terms of the cast length. I feel is that true, or is it just how I feel?
No. I think that's true. There have been new people come in, haven't there? But by the same token, there are loads of silents that never ever appear as well, aren't there?
But like they built the estate on Bridge Farm. That obviously gives them a bit more scope for housing for people. But for a long time, for multiple decades, they got just a few cottages and a few different places, streets where we know that people can be moved. So I mean, they've dug themselves a hole, haven't they? They wanted to bring Hazel back in. It's like, oh God, we've got to deal with all of the times we've used Hazel as a lazy way of digging ourselves out of a housing problem for plot X, Y, and Z.
Speaking of housing, there was a good tweet by iCod, and she put yet again the weird housing on the Archers. So Tom, who must be 50, has no house. I don't think he's 50, but
He's in
approaching
his mid-40s, isn't he, Tom? I think.
Yeah,
Is he?
Oliver.
Look it up.
Yeah, go for it. Oliver pays for the Grundys to live in his.
Mm-hmm.
Rex lives with a pensioner. Lived, sorry. Yeah, she did put lived. Alistair, in brackets 60, ? Lives with his dad.
Have you ever been to the country, Kerry?
Then, finally, Kate, in brackets 45, lives with her grandma. So I just thought that, well done, iCod. It's just like, what the bloody hell's happening with everyone who lives in Ambridge and housing situation? Do any of you two know of, people in their, I don't know, 40 plus years who have housing issues?
I can think of like situations, people I know that live in the countryside that I don't know, not that people like tend to live together, but it's sometimes you will have like a son that stays at home who could be easily in their mid-40s. Still, I can think of at least one case where they're at home and they still live with the parents, and they have a long-term partner who stays there most of the time. So it does happen.
Yeah, I think it just seems to happen in a very concentrated fashion in this small village.
I guess, yeah. So we can have them all in the same room.
Yeah.
And also, especially when a 20-minute commute is considered absolutely impossible. People have almost had breakdowns recently. Natasha and Adam. I've done the research. I'm trying to do my Tom Archer impersonation. I've done the research, and it was born in 1981.
So that's Tom.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
Tom was born in. Do you see what I was trying to do with my Tom impersonation? He's got that weird cadence to how he talks, and he kind of hits his T's very hard. Anyway, it was terrible. I apologise. But 1981. So he's what, 39?
Yeah, he did do that a bit when he was talking about the posh chocolate place near Felpersham Cathedral. I noticed that funny stumbling thing.
I find that hard T very difficult to deal with. But anyway,
God, I didn't notice. No,
I haven't noticed that. One thing that just from a teacher muscle memory, I knew that they were done for when Hazel used the present perfect when she visited their flat, because she said, "You've been very good tenants," which
Ooh,
basically means an action
your
that started
history.
in an action that started in the past up until this point and is about to end.
Very good. Can I just ask, are any of you two having a Christmas party? Work Christmas party,
This Saturday.
Are you gonna be in a interior with others, having cheese and
Yes.
wine and all of that? Okay.
Not with cheese and wine. It's going to be in a restaurant. But I
Okay.
will be holding a press conference about it.
Good. Peter, what about you?
well, apparently everyone's allowed to now, aren't they? So I probably will, even though I don't have any colleagues. I'll go down the street and grab a couple of people, and maybe go and have a kebab on a street corner or something.
I was thinking, actually, us three should have a Christmas party, shouldn't we?
We could have a Zoom one.
I say I haven't got any colleagues. You two are the closest I've got to colleagues, actually, aren't you?
Yeah, let's have a Christmas bloody
I don't want
party.
to watch you two get pissed while I'm sitting there drinking.
We'll get on the sherry, Peter. Just have one.
Oh, they've added tax to that now. No, I can't afford sherry, such luxuries.
You've just bought a scooter. You can get a sherry.
I think it's time to sell that non-functioning coffee machine you made, Peter.
Well, just to fund me falling off the wagon to watch you two get shit.
Yeah, just walk up and down the streets in Catford going, "Coffee machine for sherry? Coffee machine for sherry?"
Yeah, I wonder how long I would last in the mean streets of Catford.
No, I do think we should have a Christmas party. Anyway, yep.
Yeah, we can do that. We can do that.
Who do you think is going to fall down the steep, icy stairs?
Ooh, tough one, isn't it? They were mentioned a lot. I think we're being made to think it's Hazel, but I hope it's not Natasha.
Yeah, they're the two candidates, aren't they?
What would be the fallout, no pun intended, of Hazel taking a fatal fall down the stairs, or like a really big fall? I mean, she doesn't. No one would inherit from her. Does this just mean a bunch of properties are suddenly on the market? Because I mean, like, what does it serve to have Hazel take a fall down the stairs?
That would be good, wouldn't it? Like a storyline where half the village are suspects.
Well, yeah, like the Orient Express of the
Yes.
steep, icy stairs.
Inspector Harrison.
He would never solve it, obviously. They'd all walk free.
An inspector calls, but probably tomorrow because I'm a bit busy in the hot tub.
Yeah, busy on traffic duty. But it doesn't. I don't think it's going to be her, because I don't think it serves any particular end for her having a fall. They've already got her infirm.
Well, other than the whole village being utterly relieved that she's a corpse.
I did notice the Cider Shed podcast very cannily pointed out that Natasha was going to find herself homeless at Christmas and pregnant. And
yeah, does that remind anyone of anybody?
I know. And she has been sizing up barns with her laser pen.
Just like Mary did.
And there have been issues around donkeys. Sourcing donkeys.
When the innkeeper said no room at the inn, Mary was like, "Joseph, get the laser pen out. I need to see this this outhouse he's trying to palm us off with."
Yeah, it's very subtle, isn't it, the Archers? Anyway, what about Susan's weird thing about animals? I don't know what is going on here. She obviously, there's a mixture of things with Susan, isn't there? She doesn't like some of the photos that have been taken. Photos?
What's that? You went a bit Chelsea there.
Yeah, photos that have been taken of her, which is fair enough. The chins and that, you need to get them sort of taken out, don't you? Those photos. But why is she going, I don't want anything to do with animals. They don't like me. Can you enlighten me on this?
Well, her and animals don't mix. This is what she thinks, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, there was that weird scene where John is just running around the farm with his camera for some reason, and then she caught him taking photos of cows' asses while they were being milked in the barn. And I was like, has he found some kind of niche OnlyFans or something?
Was he taking it of cows' arses?
Yeah, and
What are you on about?
that happened on Tuesday's episode. And she said that's not the best angle to be taking of them, and it was like
But
their
you
backside.
thought of arses. No one else did. Just saying.
Oh, I'm sure they said it was their backsides.
Okay.
And then he got the bonus, the one that you have to pay like the extra for, which was Susan getting peed on by a cow. There was that point where he said, like, I've lost count how many times I've been weed on by a cow.
Because he keeps moving towards them.
Yeah, you sure it isn't 327 times, Johnny?
On his spreadsheet. Yeah, I mean, the whole mystery thing can't be asked at all. Can't be cows asked with it at all. Can you guys? The mystery? No.
It's been so many years now. I think they think the call and response with the audience is part of the fun. Kind of like, oh, every year the people in the village get annoyed about the panto, whatever it is, the mysteries, and also our listeners. There's a bit of a kind of like a love and hate relationship. It's not a love and hate relationship. It's just a hate relationship, not a fun hate relationship like with Hazel. It's just please make it stop. And also to Kerry's point about things that just don't seem plausible. That's like Kerry's breaking point with the turkey scene. We have this every year. Villages don't have £10,000 budget pantomimes where half the village are involved 5 nights a week, where they have to go on recruiting marches around, Borsetshire looking for the right donkey. Anyway.
Oh, I think someone was replaced as Joseph in the school play.
Everyone knows my award-winning performance in Smike. Everyone knows that I'm...
What character did you play again, Peter?
A mixture of characters like Fanny Squares.
There it is.
Fanny Squares.
What were you... Right, okay. What were you, Matthew? Because there is a theory, isn't there? I saw it on Twitter, so it must be true, about, if your children are cast as Mary or Joseph in the school nativity, they're makers and shakers. My daughter Mimi was Mary. My son Max was a wise man. I was always the narrator, so I wasn't even in the bloody thing. What were you, Matthew?
I think I played a wise man, ironically.
There you go. So you're the same as Max. The Three Kings.
There was that
thing.
There was that story that I seem to remember being in, at least in the West Country press, or it might have been just one of those urban myths that went around, of the kid that was playing Joseph, who was a bit of the star of the school. He got sick, couldn't be in it. The innkeeper got bumped up to Joseph, and then this kid made a miraculous comeback 2 days before the school play. And then when they got there, the innkeeper basically, the demoted innkeeper said, "Mary can come in, but you can piss off because I want to be Joseph." In front of the whole school audience.
Love it. I did actually retweet a marvellous thread of a sort of 1980s East End of London nativity play, scene by scene thing earlier in the week, if anyone can be asked to go and have a look at it. But it's bloody great. It's all these little young kids sort of going, "Oh, all right then, Jesus." And
should we stick the link in the description? Okay,
I'll try and find it. Yeah. It's good. So, Peter, is Cyrus's nursery doing any sort of Christmas show type thing?
They're not. I don't think. I mean, I get given sort of seasonal shite to stick on the fridge. I'm afraid no one in that building has any talent. So
it's joyous of you, isn't it?
Well, I'm sorry. I'm not a big one for pretending that children have any aptitude until they actually do. But yeah, so I don't really pay much attention. Just some of it makes it onto the fridge, some of it doesn't, depending how
the knackers are related just below the waist, between the legs. Cyrus, if you're listening.
My dad made a fatal mistake when I was about 6. He asked me to punch him as hard as I could, and I did. and I took him down, and my mum was quite
Was
unsympathetic.
that in the Naka region?
Yeah. So I was 6. I was old enough, and also my dad had made the fatal mistake of teaching me to punch properly. So it was all legs. It was all legs and a twisting torso.
And that is why you're not interested in Cyrus's nativity.
So I'm channeling my dad's own hurt and taking it out on the next generation. But talking of exciting shows, this show has been. This week, I feel we've done a fantastic job about talking about everything except for the Archers, but we're going to be upping the stakes, upping the ante, because we have Adonis Anthony on, the Russ of Russ fame, coming on next week.
We do indeed, yes. We ask our listeners, don't we, to send us questions for our guests, and they never ever do, to be honest with you, which is fine. We'll think of our own. However, if you do wish to send them in, and us three need to think of what on earth we want to ask. I've got a big list already.
Yeah, this is the problem. It's not the problem is not necessarily. It's keeping it down, because I want to know about him. I want to know about how he feels about Russ. I want to know about. I'd want to know everything about him. Basically, how it's. If he is typecast, I can't wait. And if he's an amazing actor, I can't wait.
As if he's typecast.
But you say he's absolutely lovely, Kerry. So,
well, I've only messaged him a few times.
Oh, please be Russ.
That hadn't even occurred to me.
This is the point about having Russ coming on. For me, we're summiting Everest.
True.
Kerry, if people do have questions to ask Adonis, where would they go? On Twitter, I assume.
On Twitter, it's at the Cider Shed Pod. And I would just like to say the numbers are still growing every week. Love it. And I'd like to give at this point a shout out to Pat Brown, who made pea rugs from my recipe that was shared on last week's pod information. I'm just in adoration of the fact that she followed my recipe, substituted bacon with veggie bacon, and cracked on with it. And if anyone else wishes to make those pea rugs following the recipe, they're really good for Christmas and any time, really. It would be great to see.
I'll chuck them on the podcast description again.
Anyway, we've got an Instagram. It's the same as Twitter, at the Cider Shed Pod, and we have a Facebook group which is called it's called the Cider Shed Podcast. We've had a few comments popping up from last night's episode regarding the pregnancy and the riding of horses. So go on there and have a look. Also, if you have any questions for next week's episode, then just slide into my DMs there, or just pop it up on the page and I'll post it.
And if you want to get in touch with us very directly, it's hello@thecidershed.com. That's our Gmail account. And and we would love to hear from you. Very exciting week next week. I wasn't exaggerating. Russ is it for me. So and Matthew obviously is the owner of that. He was the genesis of
he
that.
Likes to think he is anyway.
I'm going to give it to him.
I felt like I was sticking up for him a lot earlier than other people were.
Oh God, he's glorious. He always has been glorious. Russ is going to be on this podcast next week. Russ. Oh my God.
Are we going to have like a noddy holder? It's starting to feel a lot like Chris Russ.
We can.
If you want to spend that much time in GarageBand, I will happily add it to the show.
Also, final point. Who knew stamps cost £39.84?
I know, it's extortionate, isn't it?
It is.
What is she sending?
God knows.
Donkey turds to Hazel.
I hope so. Although I love Hazel. I'm torn. We're all torn, aren't we?
Well, if Hazel hangs around, she could rival Russ as a potential guest. But she's got a long way to go. Russ has been Russ for a long time now.
Hazel's going to be sent off with a terrible demise at some point because, as we all know, The Archers is that morality play thing. So anyone this evil has got to be sent off somehow. It's just how. I think Linda might play a part because she hinted this week that she's, not enjoying how Hazel is operating. And if anyone's going to sort anyone out, it could be Linda.
And then we can forgive Linda, which will be good.
Oh, yeah, maybe.
Well, thank you for a very lovely, rambly Friday morning episode, guys. I enjoyed myself.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, me too. I'm off to mark a mountain of tests.
And I'm off to have an interview with a company I don't really want to work for. So,
Yeah, can't wait to hear how that pans out, Peter.
Yeah, I'm conflicted. Yes, do I take money to work for the devil or not? Anyway, well,
Yes.
I'll report back on that. Kerry's got her another lovely week of gardening leave. Matthew's balls deep in marking. Have a good week, everyone.
See you next week.
See ya. Bye.
Hang on.